welcome to the docuseries Black Love in the Six, where we go deep on all things love. Tell us about yourself. Where are you from in the city, and what do you do?
My name is Andre Wright. I am the co-author of Rhine Line Books, also the creator. I also own another company called Lions Den Underwear. I'm one of the owners as well. I live in Brampton currently, but I'm originally from Etobicoke, the Rexdale area. Yeah.
What is your definition of love?
My definition of love, some might call it bleak, but I think I stand by it. Essentially, my definition of love is trusting someone with you, giving someone your heart and trusting that they won't destroy you.
When you say destroy you, what does that mean to you?
Well, when we think about the loss of love or the loss of that loved one, you utterly feel destroyed not having them anymore.
What are some of the red flags that we maybe surpass when we're dating that would end the relationship in a failure?
There's a number of things: dishonesty, selfishness. I've even dated a narcissist, and you kind of, from when I was dating this one person, all the list of things, gorgeous, God-fearing woman, et cetera, but there are so many other things. And I think a big one is a lack of accountability, actually. If I was going to sum it up to anything, it's a heavy lack of accountability. Because you can't communicate with that person. They take no blame, they take no fault for anything they may do. They will blame you for a response to something they've done, as opposed to telling the entire story of how did he get to the point where he was so mad, or how did you part, or how did you guys break up? And it's always, well, he did this and he did that, and that's for not just he. Sorry, forgive me. It's not just he, because I've had conversations, literal conversations, arguments with my friends, where I had to call them out. I was like, no. I know the entire story. What about your part? What about your part? And that's another thing that kind of falters through, where people don't take account for their part, and you're just going to repeat the same steps. You're honestly going to end up in the same place.
So do you believe in toxic love?
Do I believe in it? Do I know that it exists? Yes, 100%. Those make up to break up. You know what I mean? That I hate you too. Okay, well, what about tomorrow? Are we going out? Yeah, of course we're going out. It's Friday night, So yeah, I do. I'm like, I mean, it's crazy because I find that it's more toxic love is more of a thing now, as more of less than the gushy love that's called, you're considered a simp if you have that gushy. But toxic love is it's thriving. If you have that toxic love, then it's the best thing in the world. But again, it's a dynamic for both genders where they're they're both attracted to it.
And then, so in the Black community, of course, in today's society, do you believe toxic love is something that is sought after, almost?
In a way, yes. Because why I say yes is because they can literally have someone that is really good for them, but they friend zone them, versus someone that they know is going to treat them bad or not text them, or if they're texting them, they're going to text a whole bunch of other people, are not going to be available, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the person that they're going to go for because of the superficiality of things, whether it be the looks, the aesthetics, or the monetary gains, or the popularity, versus a 9-to-5 or whatever the case may be, that may not be as good looking or have as much money. So yeah.
And so what about, when we talk about toxic love could be in intimate relationships, it can also be in families
100%.
And in friendships as well.
100%.
Talk to us about your thoughts on that.
100%. I think it's, you're going to have, in those situations, I think you have a passive individual, and you have another individual that's giver and taker. So you'll have someone that's always giving and then someone that's always taking in either situation. And those people that are kind of toxic will be those people that are throwing dirt on your name, smiling in your face and throwing dirt on your name, talking bad about you, don't demonstrate the respect that you probably deserve. And treating you and speaking down to you in public and maybe even in private, they're building you up, and then they're taking little digs, being passive, they're super passive aggressive. you know, they'll expect you to do things for them, but they won't return the favor. Or, you know, the toxic, it can even work where they do a lot of things for you and they'll throw that in your face. You know, well, I did this for you, to, you know, a whole bunch of controlling and gaslighting.
My name is Carisha, but everybody calls me Kay, and I currently live in Woodbridge, Ontario. I have a full-time job, and I am the owner of 2104 Diamonds, and I also have 2 young girls.
So give us your definition of Black love.
I think Black love to me is selfless, it's powerful, and it's all-consuming in the sense where you have to be a very strong person sometimes to deal with the things that come at you when you are in love with someone, and you have to give a lot of yourself in those moments to get through those moments as well. So those would be the things that I think Black love looks like to me.
Do you find that there's a difference between understanding toxic love and real love?
Outside of that, or we don't know anything outside of that, you can become confused because that's all you're used to. You don't know any better. And when you do experience something that is good, that's healthy to you, that's feeding your soul, that's helping you grow, at that point in time, you become, those people, I can only speak for myself, at that point in my life, when I experienced that, I became like, what is this? I didn't understand how to deal with it. I didn't understand what it was. I thought this wasn't normal almost, like this can't be real. But in that, I had to take a step back and try to understand what was going on. And I had to do a lot of shadow work to figure out these are things that are traumas that have happened to me throughout my life, relationships that I've had throughout my life where I didn't give boundaries and I didn't give expectations or you know, set myself up with people to let them know this is how I wanted to be treated. It was more, I will allow you to treat me this way. I don't know any better, and I'll accept it because this is what is being given to me. This is all that I know. Anything outside of that seems off or confusing or unhealthy. And I think we all have to kind of work through those traumas because no one, I mean, family, friends, you know, whatever relationship we're in, there are traumas that carry with us through everything, and sometimes we carry them into our relationship, and with someone treating us a certain way, we may not really understand that they are not feeding into us in a positive way. It's actually taking away from our energy in a negative way.
So, my name is Daniel Peel. I'm from Woodbridge, Ontario, Vaughan, and I'm a pastor, a new pastor. I've been leading a church out there for a little over 6 months now, which I helped start about 3 years ago. I'm 26. I am single, and I'm enjoying life. That's what I'm doing right now. My definition of Black love is just interrelationships between Black people. So men, women, children. It encompasses kind of the whole thing. How we serve each other, how we take care of each other as a community.
And what about toxic love? Do we see a lot of toxic love in the Black community, in your opinion?
Well, if it's toxic, it's not love, in my opinion. So I would say no, we don't see a lot of toxic love. I think we see a lot of toxic interpersonal relationships, and toxic, lust, toxic manipulation, things of that nature. But that's not love.
Do you believe in toxic love?
Yes. There are relationships, whether it's a companionship or a friendship or even a family relationship, that can be toxic. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. It could simply just mean, personally, I believe it simply just means they don't know how to love. They don't know how to show love, or they're afraid because of something that may have happened in the past. So because of that, then their way of showing love becomes toxic. You stay in it because you think you can change them or they will change, or but it is still toxic. And it's not that they don't love you, they just don't know how to do it in a non-toxic manner.
Would you think in the Black community today we have a lot of toxic love relationships?
95% so, yes. I think as a Black community, we struggle with communication. And it's sad to say a lot of it falls on us women, because we want to have our cake and eat it too. We raise our boys to be tough, man up, don't cry. But then when we get into relationships as adults, we want a man that's sensitive and caring and understands our feelings. But our sons don't know how to do that because they were never taught how to do that. When you see our boys crying and they're crying, it's like, stop being a sissy. Well, if you're being a sissy as a child for showing emotion and you don't want to be classified that way, you're going to start being very hard and standoffish. And that's what you're going to grow up to be. So then as an adult, you can't expect someone to be sensitive because they don't know how. And as a Black community, we lack love. We truly don't know how to love each other. Everyone to us is competition. No one can be trusted. And it's really sad. It really is sad that we've become this way. And I don't know, I think it's possible to change it. I know that it's possible to change it, but it's going to take time and work and things like this where we talk, because it's all about communication. If I can't talk to you, then I don't know what's bothering you, and then I can't do what's right to make it not bother you anymore.
Thanks so much for having me. My name is Ms. Tiffany Williams, and I grew up right here in Brampton.
Tell us your definition of Black love.
When I think of Black love, I think of somebody fighting for me. I think of somebody who understands who I am, what I've been through, what I'm working towards, and somebody who loves me enough to walk with me on that journey and uplift me on the good days, the bad days, help keep me focused, and always keep it real, right? If I'm messing up or need to do more, I need somebody to be honest enough to fight for me and just keep being honest and sharing exactly what it is I need to keep doing.
What about love at first sight?
I don't know, actually. I think it's beautiful when I see people who claim that they fell in love at first sight. I've seen a lot of examples of that, but because love means something so different to so many people, and it's never happened to me, I've never met somebody who was like, yes, that's them. I don't know, I'm sure it's possible, but not 100% sure if I believe in it.
Thank you for having me, Ellie. My name is Tisha, and I live in Markham, Ontario right now. I have a full-time job, and I also run Hidden Smirk Photo Booth, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Give us your definition of Black love.
I think for me, and I've been thinking about this over the weeks, Black love for me really means selflessness. And the reason why I say that is what comes to mind immediately is my relationship with my son's father's family. Unfortunately, he passed away last year. Actually, it'll be a year this year. And we weren't together, very soon after my son was born. And I developed a relationship with his family, his mom, his brothers. And I think that although it was difficult at times, like especially in the beginning, especially with my son's father's passing, now I realize just how important it was for me to kind of set my feelings about the relationship that, may not have worked out aside. And I know that can be a real challenge for people who were once intimate but now have different circumstances and really have to put things aside for their children. And I'm just so thankful that I have those bonds now, because now that he's not with us, there's no gap for my son. You know, I can call them if I need help. I can call them just to, you know, say how things are going. In the beginning, when things were a little bit more difficult, I would still bring myself to like the Christmas Eves with my son, and you know, just sit there and just enjoy the vibe and just enjoy him being loved on by another family. And you know, I'm also a stepmother now myself, and I take what I've learned from my relationship with my son's father's family into that new phase of my life, because you know, I have a whole nother person to love. I call him my bonus son, and I try to set things up in a way that there's no gap. There's no gap between, you know, whichever house he's at, he's getting that same type of love. You know, there's no peripheral feelings that come through, like no matter what my relationship with his mother might be, or what have you. I really just try to use what I've learned in building that relationship and that love with my son's father's family, and carrying that on into other relationships. And it's just something I've learned over the last 10 years. My son is 10, and there's nothing better than knowing that he's getting the same type of love no matter which family he's spending his time with.
My name is Timmy. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I currently live in Toronto, Etobicoke, like the Lakeshore Parkland area.
Alright, and what's your definition of Black love?
Black people over the time, you know, we didn't really understand how to love ourselves, but there's a lot of awareness about, you know, I would say taking pride in ourselves, loving ourselves, and appreciating ourselves, you know, and treating ourselves nice, and, you know, seeing ourselves as being worthy of the best possible love that we can get. And that's the future for Black love. You know, Black people loving each other, understanding each other, helping each other heal, helping each other grow. And whether in a romantic way or in a friendship way or in a whatever setting, but just coming together to help each other grow and become the best version of ourselves. I think that's the definition of Black love for me.
How would you know when somebody is truly in love with you?
How they treat me. I always say I know how people that love me treat me. So when you love me, I will always tell from, you know, every detail of how you treat me, I should be able to know. I don't really believe in people telling me they love me. I just kind of watch how you treat me.
So how do you know when somebody is truly in love with you?
For me, it's not a matter of, it's a matter of a few things. And it's not, again, I don't think it's superficial. I think it's just a matter of the vibe you receive and their genuine behavior towards you. You could feel it, you could see, you could literally look into their eyes and see whether or not they really do care for you and they really do love you. Because it would come out like sporadic moments, you know, moments that you wouldn't even account for. You know, some of the most beautifulest moments is where, you know, you could be playing with your significant other and they just look at you and just like you could see what they're seeing. I'll tell you one story. This is crazy. So one of the relationships I was in, we were in a car. We've never said we loved you to each other. Okay, I'm gonna share these. This is vulnerable. I'm gonna share this with this is like TV show worthy. I promise you. We've never said I love you to each other. So what we used to say was olive juice. We used to play this game where it's just like olive juice. Like, you know, when you lip sing it, it almost seems like I love you. We're in the car and we're just listening to music, just chilling out, and Dangerously in Love by Beyonce comes on. And we both know the song, so we start singing the song. And then the song's like, I love you, but we're singing the song, but we're both singing it to each other, saying I love you. She starts crying. I'm fighting back tears. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm fighting back tears, and she's crying because there's this moment, like it's only TV related. You know what I mean? Like how it all worked up because we never said it to one another. But that was what would be considered the first time we ever said it to one another through a song. So I can't remember the question.
Well, I guess that's when you knew she was truly in love with you.
Yes, 100%. Those tears, yeah, for sure. You could feel it's a whole energy. I promise you. And this is what like being single and going through my own experiences with healing. right? It's understanding and being able to see it. Like you could see relationships from afar, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes you have to understand it makes sense to them. But when you hear that relationship fails, you're like, yeah, I can see that. I can understand. But then when those ones that are like genuine relationships that fail, like, whoa, okay, that's kind of new. You know, something really bad had to have happened for that relationship to fail. But you get a vibe when someone's really there for you.
So let's dig a little bit deeper. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I am a sucker for love. Like I like fairy tale, TV shows, all that stuff. My favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes, I don't know if anyone's ever watched it, This Is Us. This Is Us is one of those shows that'll have you bawling tears every episode, okay? There's a scene where the two main characters, the mother and the father was going through an addiction problem with alcohol. So he leaves home. His wife comes to get him. She tells him, okay, it's time to come home. And he gives a big old speech that any man would, full of pride, is like, I can't come home right now. I need to do this by myself. And I will be there as soon as I can. He's a good man. Don't get me wrong. He's a good man. And he gives this big speech. He closes the door on her. She opens up the door and says, whatever problem you're going through, we're going through. So we're going to do this together. Get your stuff and let's go. To me, that's amazing. That's the kind of love that you really want. You know, because as a man especially, we're prideful. We want to be strong. We want to make sure that we're sturdy and have our feet planted. But it's good to have that person that has your support. But to go back to your original question, again, I will prattle a lot. I promise you I will continue going on. But seeing that person, it's an energy. It's a complete vibe that you just receive. And it's like, oh my, what is this? I need to know what this is. I need to investigate this. So absolutely 100%.
So what would you say are the keys to knowing that somebody actually is in love with you?
Communication. That is the only key. Once you're able to communicate with that person and you are able to let them know what your love languages are, use their love languages to complement each other, and you start being symbiotic, that's how you will know that they're in love with you. It should be a situation where no matter what, you can still count on them, right? A perfect example of my partner. Every relationship has its ups and downs. My partner, there are times when we're not speaking to each other. But when I look outside my office window at 5:30 every day, he's sitting outside in his car waiting to pick me up. And that to me spells love, because he could always say, well, she's not talking to me right now, let her find her own way home. And it's those unspoken words which is why I don't necessarily believe in focusing on one love language, because sometimes those spoken words are indicative of love as well.
So what about love at first sight? Have you experienced love at first sight? Do you believe in it?
I experienced love at first sight 3 times in my life, and that was with my children. That was the only love at first sight I ever experienced, was when I saw my babies. I was in love unconditionally. I knew then that there was absolutely nothing in the world that could change my love for them. Unconditional love of an individual, no, I don't believe that exists at all. I really don't.
And so how does one know when somebody is truly in love with them?
I think someone's actions, their energy, how they feed into you will show someone that you truly love them. Like I said, it's selfless. If I love you, I want the best for you. I'm gonna want to see you fulfill whatever it is that you want throughout life. Whether it's with me or without me, it doesn't matter. I want you to have all that happiness. Unfortunately, sometimes ourselves get in the way and we don't really understand that, but I do think that love is just selfless. You want the best for somebody. You want them to succeed in whatever it is that they may be doing, wherever they may go, with or without you.
Do you have a love story for us today?
I met someone when I was in my early 20s. To me, he was the love of my life. And we grew up together, and of course there was a lot of learning and growing and understanding. But in all of that growing and understanding, I genuinely loved him. And though he's not here with us now, I still love him. And I'm so blessed to be able to share that love with him and to see it in our daughter's face. But unfortunately, our love story couldn't continue. And some people are unable to have that, so it's a blessing to me to be able to experience it in my lifetime and to know that I had somebody in my life that loved me for who I was, that accepted me flaws and all, pushed me to be the best version of myself in good and bad. And although I lost him, and his family lost him, and his daughter lost him, it's a blessing to have that, and I wish everybody could experience that at least once.